Hello everyone and welcome to Devlog 8. So we got some interesting stuff to show this time around. Not a lot of individual items, but a few pretty big items to show. So let's go ahead and get right to it. So the first thing that was added is a new trinket that takes the place of the fourth slot down in the ability bar, and that is called a Geargeist. So this is just placeholder art, this pink square. So I'm going to go ahead and forge this. And so what the Geargeist is it's a ghost. So if I press my E key to use the trinket, it summons a ghost. Now this ghost, when summoned, can be equipped with a piece of equipment. Any piece of equipment that you want. So let's say that I see a Spartan helm on the ground, or I forge one. I can go and into the vicinity menu here, and I can say equip Geargeist. Now he will equip that item. So the interesting thing about the Geargeist is when you equip him with an item, he will use that item, both of the item's abilities. So I'm going to give him a spear just so it's a little bit clearer, because the Spartan helm doesn't activate very often, so I'm going to equip him with a spear instead. And he's only allowed to have one piece of equipment on at a time, so you see he dropped his helm over here. And if I press E again, it desummons him and drops the current item that he's using. So I can press E to resummon him and equip him with that spear. So now I can go into the portal and let's see what he does. So he'll follow me, and you can see the dots here denote that his path, and you can see that he threw the spear at this enemy and now he's attacking it. Now you'll note that he's attacking very slowly. So here's how the Geargeist works. Right now I have a common Geargeist, and what this description reads is that equipment abilities have a 3 times cooldown penalty. That means that the attack speed of equipment is 3 times slower and the cooldowns are 3 times slower. So he's going to be using the spear 3 times less often than a player could. And he's going to be throwing the spear 3 times less often. Rare Geists have a 2 times penalty, and Legendary Geists have a 1 times penalty, so it's a 1-to-1. So they will be using their abilities as fast as the player can. Okay, the other restriction on the Geargeist is that he can only equip equipment that is the same or less level than him. So you can see that this Geargeist doesn't have a level right now. I'll go ahead and show you, well, I haven't beaten a level yet, but let's say that we're on dungeon level 5 and I have a +3 Geargeist. That means that any loot that drops in that dungeon level 5 cannot be equipped on the Geargeist, because those items will be level 5 and the Geargeist is level 3. In order to get upgraded items onto the Geargeist, I would have to craft one at the forge, or craft a lower level version at the forge, or replace the Geargeist. So I'd have to get a level 5 or a +5 Geargeist rather to equip him with +5 equipment or lower. Those are the current restrictions as they stand. They can be tweaked as necessary, but I think this is a pretty powerful item. This item is also fairly rare in the loot table, so you won't see it drop often, and when it does, it's going to be a huge boost, I think, to your damage output. Okay, let's move on to the next item. The next feature is that keepers will now despawn after a period of time. So just as a refresher, keepers are those entities that spawn after you take damage. You can kill them to recuperate all your lost health. But previously they would not escape ever. They would just stick around the level forever. But now they will despawn. So I'll follow this guy for a little bit. He will open up a portal when he's done, and then he will fly into the portal and disappear. Let me show that again. So the thing about the keeper portal that he spawns is that you can still kill him for a little bit of time while the portal is open, and you can pull him away from the portal. If he's not in the vicinity of the portal, he cannot escape. So if you have crowd control or anything like that to pull him away, he will be unable to leave. So I think that's a pretty good balance. If you let him escape too far and you don't keep track of him, he will be gone, and your health is now permanently gone. Well, I say permanently in quotes because there may come times in the game, like random events and stuff, where you can get health back, but generally you won't be able to get your lost health back after the keeper escapes. I'll show it one more time just for the video, and then we'll move on. So there's the keeper, and he's going to spawn his portal. And there he goes, he spins away. And the last item of note for this time around is that the plate helmet ability had a bug where if you were up against a wall, the ripple effect would not go out, it would get stuck on the wall. That has now been semi-fixed, so I can shoot out projectiles from the wall without them getting stuck. There's a problem that still exists with all projectiles where if I'm up against the wall, up against a corner or something like this, I can shoot, and sometimes those things can go through the wall. Yeah, like that. So that will have to be fixed as well. I have that actually in my next up, which is a good segue into the Trello board. Alright, so here's the Trello board. So here's what I mentioned, this next up, projectiles can sometimes fly through walls. That's the issue that I was just talking about. That will be worked on after this in progress one, which is an interesting one. So currently, I'm working through adding a pumpkin boss to the game. And for those of you that have been watching the stream, you kind of have an idea of what this pumpkin boss does. But for those of you that only follow the video, I'm going to go through the abilities that he has. So the pumpkin boss is basically, he's a giant pumpkin head with a small little vine body. And I don't have any official art for him yet. I'm using placeholder art that I drew myself, so I'm not going to show it. But I will be contacting an artist shortly to get that artwork done. Anyway, for his abilities, first ability is he will spawn vines that sprout pumpkins. So you can consider, or you think about vines spreading from his feet out into the game world. Stepping on a pumpkin will create a pumpkin monster that will attack the player with ranged and melee attacks. So the pumpkin monsters are basically smaller versions of the boss, in both ability and look. So they are pumpkin heads with little vine bodies. They can shoot pumpkin seeds at you from a range, and they can also melee attack you when you're close enough to them. The pumpkin seeds are just a projectile that travel moderately fast and they deal damage when they collide with you. They will stop at terrain. They're basically like the ghoul arrows. They're basically the same thing. Okay, so the second ability is that the boss will shoot pumpkin seeds in bullet hell style. So if you are familiar with the bullet hell games, those are games where you have a ton of projectiles flying on the screen at once, and the player's job is to kind of navigate in between those projectiles to avoid taking damage. So the idea with the pumpkin seed bullet hell style is he'll shoot X amount of seeds in an arc, and they will spread out over time just by the nature of angles, how they work, and the player will have to dodge those. The player can take damage from each of the seeds one time, so if you're close to the boss, you can actually take like a shotgun spray of damage, which is going to be quite a bit of damage. And finally, the last ability is the pumpkin boss will burrow into the ground. He will become immortal, so he won't be able to take damage or be CC'd or anything, and he will spawn massive amounts of pumpkin monsters. And currently what he does is he shoots the monsters out, and they all land at random positions, and then they will proceed to attack you. So these are the same pumpkin monsters that will shoot seeds and attack you when you get close in melee range. So yeah, so that's the pumpkin boss. He's turning out really good. You can check out the stream. There's a couple VODs up there currently that you can look at to see kind of how the boss plays out. I'll actually be showing this pumpkin boss in the next dev vlog, assuming that he's finished by then. He should be finished by then, but if he's not, he'll show up in the dev vlog for whatever sprint he's finished in, basically. Okay, and taking a look at the backlog, there's actually not a lot in the backlog. I'm getting really close to being okay with the game as it stands. It's light on content right now, relatively light compared to what I want to do with it, but I think what I want to do is start polishing up. So all these pink labels here are the polish label, and these are all the things that I need to do to make the game look and feel nice. So I'm going to be probably working through these things for the foreseeable future, and also balancing the game, tweaking it, making sure it's fun, and then I'll be exploring what to do with the game from then on. So I don't think it's appropriate to say the game will be finished soon. I'm kind of exploring my options. I want to see where the game lands after I get through this phase of development, through all the polish and all the balance. I'm thinking about putting it up on Steam Early Access if there's enough interest for it. I could potentially just be done with the project after all this after all this polish is done. It really depends on how I'm feeling about it, but this is really the make or break time of the game to see who's all interested. So if you're interested in the game, be sure to follow, let me know, so I can kind of get a feel for what I should do for the future of this game. Because I still have so many things in this backlog that I want to implement, and I think this game has a great template to develop all kinds of great content for. So I just need to know if it's going to be useful for me to do those things, basically. But I'm going to continue plan on developing the game for another couple months or so to get it really nice and polished, and then we'll go from there. Anyway, that is the end of Devlog 6. If you guys are interested in following the game, please check out all the links in the description below. Subscribe to this channel, so follow me on Twitch, because I do stream this game. I changed the stream schedule. I now stream from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday Eastern time. So if you can, please catch the stream, and feel free to interact, ask questions. I do Godot development in C#, so if you want to see how C# and Godot works, you can check that out. And I think that's everything. So thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for your interest in Tenacious, and I will see you on stream and in the next Dev vlog.